Hello, I'm Dr. Hamilton Stubbs, a double board certified sleep specialist, board certified pediatrician, and a certified nutrition specialist. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you haven't already subscribed, I'd love to have you. And don't forget to hit notifications. I try to upload a video once a week, but lately I've been a little off schedule. So, if you hit notifications, you'll know exactly when I have uploaded a video. I try to get them uploaded at least by Wednesdays. In this video, I want to talk with you about circadian rhythms. So at the end of the video, I hope that you'll have a better understanding of what circadian rhythms are, how they're controlled, why we need to pay attention to them, and how to improve your circadian rhythm. So let's get started. Circadian rhythm refers to the body's endogenous biological repeated patterns of physical activity, mental and behavioral changes that occur in somewhat of a predictable pattern over a near 24-hour period. And when I first started out in sleep medicine, I thought it was a 24-hour period, but we found out that it's not quite 24 hours. Circa means about, and dian means a day. So the circadian rhythms are regulated by what's called biological clocks. If you go on the internet, some sites will have them interchange, biological clock meaning the same thing as circadian rhythms, but they're really not the same. And I want to explain that to you. So there are two things that are required for something to be considered a circadian rhythm. It has to last about 24 hours, and it has to be something that can be reset by light or heat. The rhythms are self-sustainable, and they're brought into a specific rhythmic pattern by external cues. So the most well-known circadian pattern is the sleep-wake cycle. We usually sleep at night, and we do our activities during the day. Now, if you work a night shift or if you have to be up late, you can change this, but you will be disrupting the circadian pattern. So when we have daylight, it is going to set the circadian rhythms to being awake. And it does that by turning off certain functions and turning on certain functions. And the system that is the nervous system that's influencing those is going to also be influencing at night when we are not in the daylight, or if you don't have exposure to light, you will start to get the system of sleep turning on. Part of the circadian pattern is what happens with our autonomic nervous system and blood pressure. In the morning time, the blood pressure is at its highest level, and so is our cortisol level. These are things that help us feel alert. We also start to lose the melatonin. Melatonin is the sleep hormone that helps us with ushering in sleep or consolidating our sleep. So when we have daylight hours, these sleep things are turned off and the wakefulness mechanisms are turned on. And in the evening time, the body temperature increases slightly, and the increase in melatonin signal to our body that it's time to go to sleep. And these things are not something that you could easily control. They're happening on their own, in their own little pattern called circadian rhythms. The circadian rhythm helps coordinate physical systems. And the good example is our digestive system. The circadian pattern produces proteins and enzymes around the time that we should be eating. So we are made to sleep at night and wake during the day. So we're fasting during the night, and when we wake up in the morning, our digestive system has prepared itself for us to get something to eat. And this is when you'll have the most gastric juices, like your gastric acid, which is important for digesting food. it's higher in the daytime compared to night, because at the end of the day, your body isn't expecting that you're going to need to break down a lot of food to create fuel. But in the morning time, your body is expecting that you're going to need to break down some food, and the food is broken down to give us fuel, minerals, vitamins, proteins, all the things we need to function for about the next 24 hours. So what is a biological clock if it's not the same as a circadian rhythm? The biological clock is an internal timing device, and it interacts with cells throughout the body. There are thousands of biological clocks within our bodies. And these biological clocks are all being controlled by what's called the master clock. The master clock is in our brain, and it is called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. But it's actually about 20,000 neurons that sit together in like a little cluster, controlling the biological clocks that are found throughout the body, and those biological clocks are called your peripheral biological clocks. For example, there's a biological clock in the pancreas, the liver, and in your gut. So the master clock is getting some signals from light. Light is and darkness. Light and darkness are the biggest external cues to our master clock. So this is how it works, at least my understanding of it. Inside the eyes, we have photosensitive cells, and these cells can detect whether or not it's daylight or dark. And these cells are photosensitive cells that secrete a protein called melanopsin. And melanopsin signals to our master clock whether or not it's day or night. So here's the sequence. The light comes through the eyes, or we'll say the light doesn't come through the eyes, and then it will activate melanopsin. The melanopsin is very sensitive to the blue light spectrum. So when the melanopsin gets activated, it sends a signal to the master clock, and the master clock sends a signal to our peripheral clocks. And when the melanopsin is turned on, it's signaling that it's time for us to relax, to get ready for bed. And so the master clock will be turning on those body clocks associated with sleep. And during the daytime, the reverse is happening. So that's why it's important for you to wake up, go outside, and get some natural sunlight, because a lot of the lights that we use to illuminate our homes aren't natural, and they don't interact with the melanopsin. So circadian rhythms affect nearly all systems of the body. And here's a few things that circadian rhythms can influence. Your metabolism, whether or not you gain weight, the regulation of your blood sugar, how high or low your cholesterol level is, your mental health has a lot to do with whether or not you feel depressed or anxious. Your circadian rhythms affect your immune system, and we're all very concerned about our immune system functioning at the optimum level now during this coronavirus pandemic. The circadian system also is important to DNA repair. If we cannot repair our DNA, it sets us up for lots of diseases. The most scariest one, or I should say the scariest one, would be cancer. The circadian rhythm also affects our medications. So the time that you take your medication could make a big difference on how effective that medication is working to control whatever the medicine is being taken for. But the thing that I think we all need to know is that the circadian rhythms control how and when we absorb nutrients from the food we eat. So if you eat the same thing at a different time of the day, your body is going to have a different ability to absorb the nutrients. So I'll tell you a little story about a research project I came across. Researchers had two groups of mice. I know some people don't like that they do studies on mice, but I didn't do the study. I'm just trying to tell you what the study showed. So in these two groups of mice, they were both groups were given the same highly nutritious meal described as nutrient dense, but they were given the meals at different times. And over a period of time, the mice that were given the nutrient dense food at the optimal time for absorption had perfectly good health. But the other mice that got to eat whenever they felt like it or when it wasn't the optimal time for the digestive system to absorb nutrients, that group of mice developed illnesses. How do circadian rhythms affect health? They control the release of hormones, they affect our digestive system, and they control body temperature. So a disruption in our circadian rhythms is associated with the development of diseases, not just in mice, but it's thought that it's also important to the development of diseases in humans. So how do you maintain a healthy circadian rhythm? When you wake up in the morning, within the first 20 minutes, try to go outside or at least open a window because your glass could be treated with some kind of chemical that would block the natural sunlight. So you need to get some natural sunlight to turn off the melanopsin, help your body wake up, and have a consistent schedule. That's not just a consistent bed schedule, but it's a consistent time to eat your meals. If you eat your meals randomly throughout the day, anytime you want to, for extended periods of time, your circadian rhythm will be disrupted and your health won't be optimal. Avoid stimulants. Now, sometimes we have to have a stimulant, but if you want, and a stimulant to me is caffeine. So if you like a cup of joe, that's a stimulant. And it can disrupt your circadian rhythm because in the morning time, we naturally have a high cortisol level. But if you are drinking lots of caffeine, or maybe just your regular cup of joe when you first wake up in the morning, the caffeine will stimulate cortisol levels. And over a period of time, your body may be depending on that cup of joe to get the cortisol level to go higher than the natural rhythms that would have it go high on its own. That could be why sometimes when you wake up, you feel like you have to have that cup of coffee to get you going. Could be that you've drank so much of it on a regular basis that you've thrown off your circadian rhythm for cortisol. The other things you can do is limit your light exposure around bedtime. Now, I know we all have our smartphones, laptops, our iPhones, and like electronic games, but using those things at night will block your hormones and the rhythms that control your sleep. And this will disrupt your sleep pattern, and disrupted sleep, which is equivalent to sleep deprivation, even if you are in bed, is associated with the onset of all types of chronic illnesses. Some of them include cancer, cardiovascular problems, high blood pressure, depression, anxiety. It also is hard on your digestive system. And you want to limit your daytime naps to early afternoon if you need to take one. And the nap should not be longer than 30 minutes. Now, here's a little thing about naps. If you have a nap just because it's the natural tendency for you to take a nap, like our rhythms usually do go a little bit lower, we get a dip in our energy level sometime between noon and 3 in the afternoon, and you want to take a little nap, that may be helpful if you don't take too long of a nap. But if you are using naps to substitute for getting adequate amounts of sleep at night during your normal sleep period, the nap is not associated with improving your health. It's actually associated with some poor health outcomes. So if this is the type of information that you like learning about, and I like to teach people things that you can do under the supervision with your own healthcare provider to maximize your health. I've scratched the surface here. A little bit more reading on your own and talking to your healthcare provider, you should be able to maximize your circadian rhythms to maximize your health. So if you like this type of information and you want to do things that will help you get healthier, don't forget to subscribe. I also provide similar information on my Instagram channel. I am Dr. P.H. Stubbs, and I'll put that link below. If there are things that you want me to address, like you have a topic of interest, put it in the comments section, and maybe your topic will be my next video. Thank you so much for checking in and watching me. If you liked it, give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to share, and I'll see you on my next video. Bye now.